to get r cubed, r squared, negative r, negative 5. On the other side, I have r cubed. And what happens to the r squared term? It cancels because plus 1 minus 1 goes away. And then I have 2r minus r. And then I have a constant of minus 2. Since I have squares and cubes in this equation, how am I going to have to solve it? It's quadratic, isn't it? As soon as I see that I've got squares and cubes, I know I've got to put everything on one side and make it equal 0. Because I'm going to either have to factor or use the quadratic formula. Okay? So I'm going to put everything on one side. Okay, well, let's do this. We're going to subtract r cubed from both sides. Well, it goes away. That's good. We're going to subtract r from both sides. And we're going to add 2 to both sides. Now, if this trinomial can be factored, then I'll just factor it. But if it can't, I'll use the quadratic formula. Can you factor this? Are there two numbers that multiply to give you 3 and subtract to give you 2? 3 and 1, right? Okay. Checking your middle term to make sure your signs are in the right spot. Negative 3r plus 1r gives me negative 2r. My signs are in the right spot. Now, you're not done because we want to know what r equals. On the mastery test, most of you stopped at this point. That's not your stopping point. We've got to figure out what r is equal to. Well, if two numbers are multiplied to equal 0, then either this first expression was equal to 0 or the second expression was equal to 0, which means r was either 3 and or negative 1. But what did we say at the very beginning? R cannot equal negative 1 because it makes the fractions undefined. So that simply means that that's not an option. R is equal to 3 only.
Well, how come the negative 3?
How come what?
It's negative 3. Oh, we gotta subtract it.
Because I have to add 3 to both sides to solve that little equation. Because if r was equal to positive 3 right here, 3 minus 3 is 0, and 0 times a number equals 0. Okay? All right. All ready? Remember, if factoring's too hard, we still have our quadratic formula. Okay, that's an equal sign. It's kind of squishy looking between the first two terms, but it's an equal sign. How many terms are there? Again, there are 3. Because it's an equation, we can get rid of the fractions, but the first thing I need to do is what? I can't do a common denominator yet. Because p squared minus 1 can be factored. Okay? And before I start getting rid of my fractions, I need to make sure I don't create an undefined problem here. So p cannot equal what? Again, plus or minus 1. Okay? What's the common denominator? P plus 1, P minus 1. Three terms multiplied 3 times. In this one, P plus 1 cancels. In the second fraction, all that cancels, right? Okay, so let's put it back together. Here, we distribute the P, and then we distribute the minus 1. So we're going to have P cubed minus P squared plus P minus P squared. Watch, I'm going to do this. Mimi showed us this earlier in the year. I'm going to put my like terms together right now. Plus P minus 1. On the other side of the equal sign, P squared minus 7. And this is P times what? P squared minus 1, which is P cubed minus P. Your brain should be shouting something out right now. I got cubes and I got squares. What's the next move? Put it all equal to 0. This is a quadratic equation. I get to set the whole thing equal to 0. Alrighty. Now take note real quick. I want to bring all this stuff over to the other side. Why do you think? Keep my P squares positive. All right? How can I start factoring that? What do you notice about all those terms? They all have a 3 as a factor. I can factor out a 3. Now, is that trinomial factorable? Yes. What numbers multiply to give you 2? 2 and 1. Can you subtract them to get 1? Yes. Check your middle terms and make sure your signs are correct. This is negative 2p plus 1p, which gives me negative 1p in the middle. All right? Which means that if these numbers are multiplied to equal 0, either 3 equals 0, which it doesn't, or p minus 2 equals 0, which means p equals 2, or p plus 1 equals 0, which means p equals negative 1. But restriction said that p can't equal negative 1. So my only answer is p equals 2. By putting your restrictions, you don't have to plug those two answers back in to check. If you don't list your restrictions, you'd have to plug them back in to check, and you would see that negative 1 wouldn't work. All right?
What happens to the 3?
Nothing. It's just a number. The only ones we need to set equal to 0 to solve for p are the ones that have p in them. If there's no p, then it's just a constant. All right, so if it's an equation with fractions, we can get rid of the fractions. We got to find a common denominator and multiply